Fire up. It disintegrated. Oh, dude, look at this, Will. Split straight down the middle. Oh, you got it, dude. Look at that. Damn, wiped out the block. Oh, look at that, bro.
All right, guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about the All Truck Challenge, formerly known as the King of Streets last year. They still have the King of Streets, but it's for
emissions on.
It's for weak trucks.
07 and a half and up. You know what?
They're coming along.
Given the current climate, I give Sarah a big round of applause for attempting to do it.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool. Actually.
You know what? Not our stuff, but it is still cool.
Still cool. So we're here at the engine part of Power Driven Diesel. We've been working on some engines. I wanted you guys to meet the engines and kind of see what goes into a build. We kind of have two different builds going here, two different goals. They're both going to compete in the same competition, but they're not exactly the same engine.
No.
I'm going to start with mine.
Okay.
So this engine is for my street truck, Ruby, as is known around the shop, Claw in my house, and this is my tow truck. I tow my camper with it, my kids, with dirt bikes. This is my true daily driver truck. I drive it back and forth to work every day. And it was great. You hopefully saw the last video. It did 964 horsepower as it was. So it was a pretty stout, good all-around truck, and we decided to go a little bit more. So we have made still a pretty killer street engine. This is definitely looser than the other engine to allow for more expansion, for a lot more power. And but otherwise, it's a somewhat similar build, really. Yeah. We didn't go too much different. We still have so this is a 6.7 block. This is a brand new aftermarket 6.7 block. And it's got a lot of the same parts out of it before. We had the Street Fighter rods on my last engine, still the Street Fighter rods here.
Yep, didn't need to do it. They were ready to go. No fretting.
They looked great.
They looked awesome.
We upgraded to 14 mil hardware. That was our big concern in the last engine.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of fretting, which you would expect at the power level he was at. So we went ahead and stepped it up to a 14 mil main stud, very similar to what you'd put in your early 12 valve engine blocks. They drop right in. The only difference is you cannot run the factory block stiffener, which I promise you guys isn't that important anyway.
Yeah,
so we got rid of that.
14 mils are way more important than a factory block stiffener. So we got the 14 mils in the bottom end, still the factory 6.7 crank.
Yep.
Fluid dampener, got our new engine barring tool. This is one of first article right there.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm a little jealous that Todd got it, but oh well.
Yeah, I'll get another one here.
Owner privilege. Yeah, you gotta love it.
And so moving up, we are running a different style piston in this than I had in that truck. That truck had the QSBs.
Yep.
Had the wide, well, they were around here somewhere. Anyway, had a wide bowl. They were a non-reentrant, if you're into Cummins lingo. It's a non-reentrant bowl. So this, what that means is the fuel shot into the inside and went out. Came down the middle. That has to do with the angle of your injector, your spray pattern. And so it's a wide bowl piston. And Josh chose this for what reason? Why did you put this in our last engine?
So the reason why we went with the wide QSB bowl on yours was you really like the fueling and injectors you already had.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys that are trying to put 6.7 short blocks in your 5.9 trucks, if you already have injectors for a late 5.9, the QSB bowl is a direct drop in. There's a little bit of base timing change, but not much. And this is what you'd run. And then Todd wanted to up the injector size. And one of the downsides to this wide bowl is it leaves this little idle haze. If you guys ever see it, the 6.7 trucks that are modified with regular pistons, they usually idle pretty clean. The 5.9 late trucks always have that little stinky idle haze that everyone always kind of, I don't want to say complains about, but is always shocked that they still have it. And that's one way to clean it up. And the only upside to these is they do make more fuel-only power. But once you spray it with nitrous, that doesn't seem to matter at all. And these ones also are a little easier to burn because the crown isn't as thick as well. So all in all, I think we went with the right piston for Todd's truck being a tow truck and also for durability.
Yeah, so the new one has got the ISB
Re-entry.
This is a non-re-entry.
Yep.
Even myself, I have a trouble. So now the fuel is going to hit the outside of the bowl and come in.
Yep.
And that should clean up our idle haze a lot and should help with heat capacity. It's not going to burn or melt the piston as easily because there's a lot more material up there to absorb the heat.
Mm-hmm.
So we went with that style bowl and I'm hoping to make good power with it. I was willing to give up a little bit of fuel-only power because I'm going to get a lot more power anyway with what we're doing. We're upping turbos, we're upping fuel systems, so I'm going to get a big bump in power. Happy to have that little bit of safety margin, if you will. This is the same head that was on my tow truck. Didn't change anything. It looked great. This is our power-driven diesel fully ported head. Well, ported on the exhaust, fully ported, and we clean up the intakes what we can. And this has been a real awesome. We've been doing testing with it. We want to make sure we have everything right before. We've got a couple of these out in the street now getting tested, but we're going to release these pretty big, hopefully pretty quickly. And I mean, how much power did you make on this head?
I did 1750 fuel only and 2183 on nitrous.
And that's the same head that I tow my camper with.
Yep.
That's it's a pretty big wide.
Now, again, there's definitely a better spot for a head like that in that application, but when they ask us to test things, like, I mean, we've smacked that with EGTs and towing, and it's honestly probably one of the better heads I've ever had.
And we wanted to make sure that our seat press is correct. That's the big deal because the seats fly out of these heads. And so we wanted to really test these really well. And luckily we have the tester in chief over here who, you know, does real well. So this has got our PDD ported head on it. Again, 14 millimeter hardware up top. These are OptiTorque 14 millimeter head studs. We also have OptiTorque 14 millimeter 8 studs. No, we got ARP main studs,
these are ARP. Only because the OptiTorques we couldn't get in time is why we did it.
So I like the OptiTorques a lot, but the ARPs have proven very good as well. So this has got the 14 millimeter OptiTorques up top, and we're gonna run a Steve speed. Turbos on this are gonna be, well, you can see my manifold. This is a T3 manifold. So I'm gonna be running a T3 charger. I wanna keep this tow friendly. I want spool up is a big deal. So I'm gonna run one of our 67 millimeter turbine wheel HU351s with a big turbo. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then up top, we got just good, awesome hardware. We have the Manton bridges. We have Manton valve springs. We have our own valve springs, but these are a little bit lighter, a little better for high RPM. So I went with the Manton. This is kind of like a higher grade than our street 24 valve springs. And
stage 2.5 push rods, which are our bigger diameter push rods, and then they get that nice heat treat to them.
Very strong.
I've taken those now over 2,000 horsepower without a failure. They work really good. And then the only other thing we did was we put the 6.7 rocker arms on for you.
Yeah.
And the nice part about the 6.7s, they don't have the plastic tips that break off. And then they also have that nice improved oil groove on the bottom to help retain oil so your rocker arms don't gobble. Pretty nice upgrade, in my opinion.
Yeah, so this is my engine. This is a street engine. This has got cast pistons. Hoping to do lots of miles on it. It's a little bit looser than my last one, so I'm going to have to get a nice catch can system because it's going to have a little bit, push a little more oil, which is kind of the nature of the beast. If you want to make big power, you can't have it tight. If you get a big power engine and you complain about a little bit of blow by, you're in the wrong sport.
Yep. especially when it's cold.
Yeah, especially when it's cold. It warms up, that kind of goes away.
Yeah.
But not all the way away. So anyway, this is my engine that I hope to compete well with. I'm not a big heavy hitter at this competition. I'm bringing my true daily driver, and I hope if I can just do well to maybe crack the top 10. That'd be really cool for me.
Yeah.
And so now this engine, it looks very similar to this one, but this one is built to handle a little bit more power. So let's talk about Josh's All Truck Challenge engine.
So this is a 6.7 Cummins block that we had sleeved down to a 6.4. It has power bore flange sleeves, and basically there's this land that the sleeve sits on. It allows the sleeve not to go down or up, and then the firing puts pressure on it to keep the sleeve from coming back up. This one has one of the industrial injection 14 millimeter girdles. So it's got ARP 14 mil studs with their little girdle that they sell. We have a set of Wagler full billet rods. I finally stopped trying to save money with the Street Fighters. I had a set and I was like, fine, let's throw them in there. And then there are a lot of ways to do a 6.4. The way we chose is to sleeve it down to a 4 and an 1/8 bore, or 4.125. Which means we had to get a custom piston made. So we reached out to Diamond. Diamond made us a set of 4 and an 1/8 bore ISB re-entrant style pistons. They did the valve reliefs, and then we went with a set of Trend DLC coated wrist pins. From there, we have just the regular Hazley fire ring 6.7, and then I chose again to go back with another ported power-driven diesel head, just because I've had such good luck with it. I really like the
same head, right?
Yeah, same head. I like the simplicity of having the shelf. Everything fits the way it should, especially for a truck that you're going to drive on the street. Not having to deal with the shelves coming loose or the silicone not holding. And I'm going to run a 5.9 rail anyway, so it didn't even matter to me. I really like this cylinder head. I went with ARP 625s. I did not feel like putting 14s in, and I already had the 625s. And then just like Todd, I went ahead with the Manton pressure tower valve springs, Manton valve ridges, and the 6.7 rocker arms. I'm falling behind a little bit, but I'm doing this at night, so I'm not quite as quick.
But this is going to be buttoned up tonight.
Yeah, it should be buttoned up tonight. And then kind of the same thing as I have in my 07. It'll be a single Exergy 14 mil pump, some DDP fueling, which Todd's going to have, a 12 mil DDP pump, some DDP injectors, and then Industrial Injection sent us one of their dual pump kits. So you're going to have
Dual
two
CP3s.
pumps.
Yep.
And then I'll have my 114. I've had really good luck with it. I like how simple it makes it.
Not super street friendly.
No.
Not tow friendly.
They have a hard time at really low throttle when the truck's loaded. And that was why Todd went with the dual pumps, because we can get that to tow a lot better. And I don't want that to come off as we don't like the Exergy pump.
No,
but it is very hard to try and get that to tow right, especially in the higher elevation fueling tables. So if you're a tuner and you know what that means, awesome.
It's similar to like a 13 or a big P pump. I mean, it moves a ton of fuel. I mean, you made 2,000 horsepower on that single pump, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it moves a crap ton of fuel. You can't expect it to make that kind of power potential and still be super driver friendly. Like a 13 mil pump or my 16 mil pump, love it. Wouldn't try to tow with it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing for what it is.
They should be pretty stout. I like always, I'm gonna actually bring a spare this time. So either Todd or I will probably end up needing it. Hopefully not, but
yeah, I think I always go to these events confident that we've got a good build and it's going to work out well. Yeah. And something
we're so confident. Each one of us is bringing our own backup transmission, our own backup converters.
But this is a pretty brutal thing. I mean, we're going to have to do a drag race, dirt drag race, a street drive, which from your experience is one of the hardest things to do for some of these trucks.
I mean, the problem. So I was listening to all the podcasts, and my name got brought up a few times about like shooting for the moon. So this year, I'm gonna definitely have a different strategy. Mm-hmm. I feel like last year I tried to win everything I tried, and I don't feel like you can do that and be successful. Like, you're gonna fail. One of the big problems I had last year was the 6.7 rail just kept breaking lines. Yeah. But I had two 12 mil pumps, and I think it just thumped them too hard. So both Todd and I are going to run 5.9 rails. I think that's going to really help for the street drive durability. And you've never broken a line. I've never broken a 5.9 line.
Yeah.
My 6.7 rail, I used to keep a full set in my truck because you'd break them just
Yeah.
randomly. I don't know why. But yeah, I think Todd's gonna have a solid setup that'll be consistent throughout, and I kind of hope to be consistent. I definitely, as Todd knows, I'm definitely trying to win the sled pull. That is the only event that I really want to win.
And you got a pretty cool truck. I mean, it's the stuff he's doing to this street truck. It's legit. I'm excited about it. I hope I do well because I hope I am consistent. I don't anticipate winning any of the events. I hope to do well in the bracket portion of the drag race. I think that's probably
I think I'm gonna get you there too, but who knows?
in the bracket portion.
Yeah, I'm racing the bracket too. I don't have a cage.
Oh, I'm not worried about that.
I'm a Will Terry you at the line.
Yeah.
Start deep staging.
Yeah, you deep stage. That'll be good. That'll be good. So hopefully a 1-2 power driven in the bracket. We'll go for that. I'll happy either way. I think that's my best chance to like do really well in an event.
I think you're really underselling your dirt drag.
Yeah, the dirt drag too.
But I mean, so Tim Mahoney and Greg A were the top 2 contenders in 2019, and a 1,000 horsepower Duramax won it in 2020. Like, it seems like the medium power level trucks that aren't set up just on kill do really, really well. And I think the problem that you'll have with some of the competitors that are really, really light on weight, they don't go as fast.
In the dirt drags.
The dirt drag, I think you need a little bit of weight there. I honestly think you could be a top 3 contender in the dirt drag as well.
And that was just fastest guy, right? Heads up.
Yeah, it's fastest. So fastest guy, and then you have the bracket, which is also heads up.
Yeah, the
so
bracket,
you have
the
to
dirt
qualifying,
drags.
and then
Then according to your speed is where you're placing the ladder.
Yep.
Cool. So I have to do well. So those would be my 2 favorite events. I'm excited for the sled pull because I don't do it very often.
Yeah. But I mean, just like everyone else, I mean, everyone always thinks we get all these parts and stuff like that. You know, the reason why Todd's sled pull setup can't be killer like mine is we couldn't get you axles in time.
Yeah.
There's just nothing in stock. So he's going to pull on factory axles.
Yep.
So you only see 4 tires on him. I ordered stuff in June that just finally showed up. So I'm going to run 6 tires. But again, I was able to get it in time. And it just showed up not too long ago. It's so rough. I mean, I ordered the pistons and sleeves for this in May. Yeah. And they showed up less than 3 weeks ago.
It's a life we live right now. It's the supply shortages all over the world, and so just do the best with what you got. So I'm excited to go play. Honestly, I think we got some good builds here. I mean, that piston and rod combination. That's what I've done. 2,600 horsepower, diamond pistons, DLC coated trends with the Wagler billets. I mean, you got plenty of bottom end there for it, and so you should be just freaking solid.
I've had really good luck with stock block 6.7s. You know, the stock block Cummins 6.7s seem to hold up quite well. So I'm excited, and next time you guys see these things, there'll probably be some dyno footage.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, for mine, next time you see, it's probably going to be turbo fab. Yeah. Turbo fab for mine, but yours I got all set up. So dyno
so for those of you guys that don't know, I'll give you my turbo setup. It's a forced inductions 480 over a 106 millimeter GT55. It's the same. I use one of the turbos that Todd uses for UCC.
I use 2 106s.
Yeah, he uses 2.
But you use a lot of nitrous.
Yeah,
that's worth a lot.
It is.
That's worth a lot.
About 450 horsepower.
About 450 horsepower more.
But that's my turbo setup. And honestly, Todd, I don't know if you've driven it. Will's driven with me. Meyer's driven it. It's actually pretty street friendly. Yeah. I still towed with it.
Yeah, it still works. It is a daily driver. It meets the criteria of this competition. You drive it a lot.
Yes.
I mean, he drives it a lot. It's not like this race truck that just sits around. He actually drives it around a lot.
It's actually bothering me that I can't drive it because we had the trans and everything.
Yeah. So now you're stuck in the Super Ford.
Yeah, it's pretty much a race truck though.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, that is the race engines. If you have any questions, put in the comments. If we forgot something, we'll try to give you the information. We're not trying to hide anything here.
Do you want to just go over the specs? I can give them to him if you want.
Sure. It's like people ask, what do you do for these high performance
engines? All right, so
if you've stuck around, here's the gold.
Yeah, so Todd's recipe is something that I already tried in my 07 and it worked really good, so we're going to try it again. He's got 4,000s on the main bearings, 3,000s on the rod bearings. That would be in reference to oil clearance. He has 8,000s piston to wall, which is the clearance of the piston skirt against the cylinder wall. And then for rings, we have 27,000s for the top ring. We have 51, I think, or 48 for the second ring.
And that's just what it came in.
Yeah, it just dropped out of the box.
They're always pretty big in the second rings.
Oil ring was right at 17,000s, which is at the top end of spec. However, that is where the piston in the wall lands you. On mine, 4 thousandths on the mains, 3 thousandths on the rods, 15.5 piston to wall, which I did figure out. We were measuring it wrong, which is on me, but
because we thought of her 17 at first.
yeah.
Right? Then
So Diamond actually calls the spec up 1.25 inches from the bottom.
Oh,
I
so
didn't realize that.
Piston's fat
Yeah.
right there.
So we're at 15.5 thousandths piston to wall.
34 on the top ring.
Yeah, 34 on the top ring. And shout out to the boss man. I am not always comfortable grinding the rings, especially with a part shortage. I didn't want to make a mistake. So Todd ground all the piston rings for me, and I appreciate it. And then
And your rings are a total seal. So the second ring has a 2-piece design, so there's gaps, but there's no way for the gas to get around that piston.
Yep.
So it's a total seal design, and I've liked those really well.
Yeah. So realistically, Todd should go until it starts blue smoking at idle once he makes enough power. Mine's probably not going to last very long. But again, this engine's just purely because I don't want to make 2,000 on the dyno, but I'd like to make like 1,600, 1,700. And as much as I love doing it with a cast piston, I really don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where
You
we're
got
at.
a good solid build, I see.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome. So anyway, if you have any questions about that, give us comments. Hope you like and subscribe. Yeah, these are engines. So next time you see these trucks, turbos on mine, dyno on yours.
Probably dyno. Yeah, probably the dyno. Yep.
And time's running out.
Yeah.
How long we got now? We leave
I think it's like
12?
14 days.
14 days.
15 days.
15 days. These trucks are going to come together in the next 15 days.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a good time.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and we will see you next time.